Do you ever feel like life is moving around you while you're stuck in the same place? Like no matter how much effort you put in, the results never show up. Imagine if you could take just 90 days, 90 real days, and completely change how your life feels, how your mind works, and how you act every single day. This isn't about magic or motivation that fades in a few hours. It's about practical choices, simple habits and small actions that build up into real results you can see and feel. In this video you'll learn how to stop wasting energy on things that don't matter, how to trust yourself to do what you say you'll do, and how to stay focused even when your mind wants to quit. You'll see how tiny decisions every day shape your mood, your actions, and eventually your life. And most importantly, you'll discover how to keep growing long after 90 days are over, so change doesn't just happen once, it sticks. The question is simple: are you ready to give yourself 90 days to finally change everything? This could be the moment your life turns around. Chapter 1. Choose to stop repeating the same days again. People do not change their lives because they lack talent or luck. They change nothing because they wake up and live the same day again and again without noticing it. They open their eyes to the same thoughts. They follow the same routines. They react the same way. And at night they feel the same quiet disappointment that nothing moved forward. That is not fate. That is repetition. And repetition without awareness slowly steals your future. If you want to change everything in 90 days, the first decision is simple and serious. You must choose to stop repeating the same days again. Not someday. Not when conditions improve. Today. Because a new life never starts with a big event. It starts with a clear inner decision that says this pattern ends here. Most people think their life is hard because of the world, because of money, because of family, because of the past. But when you look closely, you see something else. You see habits that never get questioned. You see mornings that begin in a rush or boredom. You see hours wasted without guilt. You see evenings filled with noise instead of thought. And then you see years pass. The days look different on the calendar, but they feel the same inside. The human mind loves comfort. It loves what feels familiar, even when that familiar thing hurts. Repeating the same day feels safe. Changing feels uncomfortable. That is why people stay stuck. Not because change is impossible, but because repetition feels easier than responsibility. But easy days create hard lives, and hard choices create easier lives later. If today looks exactly like yesterday, then tomorrow will look the same. That is not motivation talk. That is cause and effect. Your days are not random. They are built by choices, small choices, quiet choices, the choice to scroll instead of think, the choice to complain instead of act, the choice to delay instead of decide. These choices feel harmless in the moment, but they stack up, and one day you wake up older with the same problems and less energy. Stopping repetition does not mean doing something dramatic. It means doing something different on purpose. It means interrupting the automatic life. It means paying attention to moments you usually ignore. It means asking one honest question every morning. Is today going to be another copy, or will I shape it? You do not need confidence to start. Confidence comes after action, not before it. You only need willingness. Willingness to feel awkward. Willingness to feel uncertain. Willingness to do small things that your old self avoided. Growth always feels uncomfortable at first, because your mind prefers the known even if the known is painful. Look at your mornings. They set the tone for everything. If your mornings are rushed, distracted, and careless, then your life will feel rushed, distracted, and careless. When you wake up and grab your phone, your mind becomes crowded before your feet touch the floor. When you start the day without intention, you hand control to whatever appears. A message, a problem, a mood. That is not living with direction. That is reacting. Choosing to stop repeating the same days again means you begin the day with awareness. You slow down for a moment. You notice your breath. You feel your body. You ask yourself what kind of person you want to be today. Not what tasks you want to finish. Character comes before results. Discipline comes before success. Most people wait for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It shows up when it wants to. Discipline shows up because you trained it. Discipline is built by small daily actions, done even when feelings disagree. When you choose to do one small thing differently today, you send a signal to your mind. You say, I am in charge here, and the mind listens, slowly but surely. You might feel resistance. That is normal. Resistance is not a sign you are doing something wrong. It is a sign you are stepping out of repetition. Your body and mind have learned a certain rhythm. When you change that rhythm, discomfort appears. Do not run from it. Stay with it. That discomfort is temporary. Regret lasts longer. People often say they want a new life, but they protect their old habits. That is not possible. You cannot keep the same daily behaviors and expect a different future. Change demands trade-offs. Something must be reduced or removed to make room for growth. Time, energy, attention. These are limited resources. Where you spend them decides your life. Ask yourself honestly where your time goes, not where you think it goes, where it actually goes. Hours disappear quietly, not in big chunks but in small leaks. A few minutes here, a few minutes there. At the end of the day you feel tired, but not fulfilled. That tiredness comes from scattered focus, not meaningful effort. When you choose to stop repeating the same days again, you begin to protect your attention. You say no more often. You stop explaining yourself to people who do not live your life. You accept that growth requires boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They decide what enters your day and what does not. There will be days when nothing feels exciting. Change does not always feel powerful. Some days it feels boring. Some days it feels lonely. Some days it feels slow. Those days matter the most, because that is when repetition tries to pull you back. That is when you prove to yourself that you are serious. 90 days is not magic. It is enough time to build momentum, enough time to break old loops, enough time to see evidence that your choices matter. But only if you stop repeating the same days. If you repeat the same behaviors for 90 days, nothing changes. Time does not transform people. Decisions do. Pay attention to how you talk to yourself. The inner voice shapes behavior. If that voice is always tired, critical or hopeless, your actions will follow. Speak to yourself with honesty and firmness, not harshness, not softness. Truth. Say, this is where I am, and this is where I am going, and then act accordingly. You are not broken. You are trained, and training can be changed. Habits are learned responses. They can be replaced with new responses. One decision at a time, one day at a time, but only if you stop drifting through familiar routines. Look at your environment. It influences you more than motivation ever will. What you see, what you hear, what you keep around you. These things shape behavior quietly. If your space supports laziness, you will feel lazy. If it supports focus, you will feel focused. Change the environment and behavior becomes easier. The future does not ask for perfection. It asks for consistency. Doing a little better today than yesterday. Showing up even when no one is watching. Keeping promises to yourself, especially the small ones. Self-respect grows from self-trust, and self-trust grows from action. When you stop repeating the same days again, something powerful happens. You begin to feel alive, not because life becomes easy, but because you are present. You notice progress. You feel pride in effort. You feel calm in discipline. That calm does not come from comfort. It comes from alignment. There will be moments when you want to quit, when you think this is not working. That thought appears before results arrive. Always. Progress is quiet before it is visible. Stay patient. Stay steady. The work you do today is shaping the person you will meet in 90 days. At the end of your life you will not regret effort. You will regret wasted days. Days spent repeating the same patterns, while hoping for a miracle. Miracles happen when preparation meets opportunity. Preparation is daily discipline. So today, make a simple decision, not a dramatic promise, a firm decision. This day will not be a copy. One small change, one honest action, one moment of awareness. That is how change begins. Not all at once, but once and for all.
Give yourself 90 days, not to be perfect, but to be intentional, to break repetition, to build direction, to prove to yourself that your life responds to your choices. When you stop repeating the same days again, you stop living on pause, and that is where everything begins to change.
Chapter 2. Accept responsibility for every action and reaction. Every moment of life carries a choice. Every reaction, every decision, every step you take shapes the course of your future. The difference between a life of regret and a life of progress is not luck. It is responsibility. Accepting responsibility for every action and reaction is not a simple idea. It is the foundation of true personal growth. Most people spend their lives blaming circumstances, blaming others, blaming the past. They point fingers and wait for someone else to fix what only they can control. That approach never builds freedom. It builds chains. Responsibility begins with awareness. Awareness of how you respond to situations. Awareness of how your emotions drive your behavior. Awareness of the consequences that follow your choices. Many people feel like life happens to them, but life is neutral. Life does not act against you. Life simply responds to your decisions. Every complaint, every excuse, every delay is a demonstration of avoiding responsibility, and avoiding responsibility slows everything you want to achieve. Responsibility is not just about major decisions, it is about small ones too. How you speak to people, how you manage your time, how you care for your health, how you handle stress. These moments might feel insignificant, but they compound into patterns that define your character. Every choice you make either strengthens or weakens the foundation of your future. When you accept responsibility for every small action, you reclaim control over the big ones. The first step is honesty. Look at your life without sugarcoating it. Do not justify mistakes. Do not minimize errors. Acknowledge them openly. That does not mean self-criticism without purpose. It means observing clearly, seeing the truth without distortion. When you can see your behavior and reactions clearly, you stop being a victim of circumstances. You see that your life is largely a result of what you do, not what happens to you. Many people resist responsibility because it is uncomfortable. Owning mistakes can feel painful. Admitting failure can feel humiliating. Accepting that your actions contributed to a problem can trigger fear, but that discomfort is temporary. The freedom that comes from owning your life is permanent. When you take responsibility, you stop living under the control of chance, opinion, or environment. You take the steering wheel. You no longer give power to random events or other people's decisions. Responsibility also applies to your reactions. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. You decide if a criticism will hurt you or teach you. You do if a challenge will stop you or strengthen you. You decide if disappointment will break you or motivate you. Every reaction is a choice, and every choice matters. When you accept responsibility for your reactions, you stop blaming the world for your mood, your energy, or your results. This principle reaches into relationships. When conflict arises, taking responsibility means listening first, reflecting second, and responding with intention. It means asking yourself how you contributed to the situation before pointing out faults in others. It means being accountable for your part even when others fail theirs. People who master this create trust, respect, and influence. People who avoid it live in frustration, misunderstanding, and constant tension. Responsibility also governs your time. Your schedule is your life measured in minutes and hours. How you spend it is entirely within your control. Late nights scrolling, excessive distractions, wasted energy on unimportant tasks, and delayed decisions all erode potential. Taking responsibility means making deliberate choices about where and how you invest your attention. It means prioritizing tasks that align with your goal. It means protecting your energy from unnecessary drains. When you accept responsibility for your health, your body becomes an asset rather than a liability. Eating poorly, neglecting exercise, and ignoring sleep create predictable consequences. Health is not random. Strength, vitality, and endurance are earned through consistent, responsible actions. No doctor, no supplement, no trend will replace the daily discipline of taking care of yourself. Responsibility transforms your body into a tool that supports every other goal you have. Financial life operates on the same principle. Most financial struggles are a reflection of choices, not luck. Overspending, avoiding budgets, ignoring education, or delaying planning compounds into long-term stress. Taking responsibility here means knowing where every dollar goes, planning for future needs, and understanding that wealth is built by deliberate action and repeated decisions over time. No one will manage your resources better than you. No one will enforce accountability for your dreams except yourself. Accepting responsibility requires letting go of excuses. Excuses are comfortable, but deceptive. They allow you to blame someone or something else for results that are entirely within your power to change. I don't have time. I'm too tired. I wasn't ready. Life is unfair. Every excuse is a refusal to act. Every excuse is a barrier between you and the life you want. When you stop excusing yourself, you stop sabotaging your future. You begin creating it. Responsibility also demands courage. Courage to face mistakes. Courage to accept the truth about your habits. Courage to confront weaknesses and act anyway. Courage to apologize when wrong. Courage to set boundaries when needed. Courage is not absence of fear. It is action in spite of it. Every act of courage strengthens the habit of responsibility. Every courageous choice reshapes who you are and what you can achieve. When you live responsibly, your mental and emotional state changes. Anxiety and regret fade, because you know you have control over your action. Guilt loses its grip because you take corrective steps immediately, instead of waiting for life to correct itself. Pride grows, not arrogance, but quiet confidence that comes from knowing you do what you say and own what you do. That confidence fuels further growth. It creates momentum that makes action easier over time. Responsibility is also a practice of reflection. Every night review your day. Ask, what did I do well? What could I have done better? Did I respond wisely to challenges? Did I own my decisions or blame others? Reflection is not criticism. It is feedback. Feedback from yourself is more honest and useful than feedback from anyone else. The act of looking back responsibly ensures your future improves systematically. Accepting responsibility changes your relationships with others. People notice when you own your actions. They respect honesty. They trust consistency. Arguments diminish when both sides take responsibility for their parts. Leadership becomes natural because leading starts with being accountable. Influence grows because others see integrity and reliability. Your actions begin to inspire, not manipulate. Responsibility creates gravity around your character. Responsibility also changes your perception of setbacks. When failure comes, and it will, you stop feeling helpless. You analyze what went wrong, take ownership of mistakes, adjust your approach, and try again. You do not linger in self-pity or blame. You respond effectively. This habit separates those who stumble temporarily from those who stall permanently. Progress comes to those who act responsibly, not those who wait for luck or sympathy. The human brain loves patterns. If you train yourself to accept responsibility consistently, your brain rewires its habits. Decisions become clearer. Reactions become controlled. Choices become deliberate. Life does not feel random or chaotic anymore. It feels like something you shape intentionally. That is the power of responsibility. It is not a philosophy. It is a tool for building life systematically, reliably, and intentionally. Responsibility also improves your emotional resilience. You stop being swept by moods because you know your response matters more than the trigger.
You stop feeling helpless when problems appear, because you know action will create change. You stop fearing judgment because your self-worth is anchored in your integrity, not others' opinion. Emotional stability becomes a byproduct of your accountability. Every habit you build is a product of repeated responsibility. The more you take ownership, the more your habits align with your goals. Every missed action teaches you something if you reflect. Every completed action strengthens your confidence. Life becomes predictable in a good way, not because circumstances are controlled, but because your responses are consistent. Consistency is invisible power. Responsibility is contagious. When you live accountable, people around you respond similarly. Teams function better. Families communicate better. Friends trust more. Leadership spreads through example, not orders. By changing your own actions and reactions, you influence others without effort. Responsibility multiplies impact quietly, naturally, and effectively. No one can force you to accept responsibility. Teachers, mentors, parents, or bosses cannot create it inside you. It emerges when you decide it must. It grows when you practice it daily. It strengthens when you see results and recognize your own role in them. It deepens when you reflect without judgment. Responsibility is a muscle that must be exercised consistently. The freedom that comes from taking responsibility is unmatched. When you no longer blame, you stop being controlled by others. When you no longer delay, you reclaim time. When you no longer react without thought, you master your environment. Freedom and responsibility are inseparable. You cannot have one without the other. True independence is built on unwavering accountability. Accepting responsibility does not mean perfection. It does not mean never failing. It does not mean rigid control over everything. It means owning everything you do and react to. It means acknowledging errors and correcting them. It means learning continuously from each moment. Life rewards those who are accountable and adapts to those who are not. The difference is measurable, undeniable, and permanent. Begin now with awareness of your actions. Notice when excuses creep in. Notice when blame seems easier than action. Notice when you react automatically. Then pause, choose differently, respond with intention, correct what needs correction, act decisively. The habit of responsibility grows with repetition. One day of ownership leads to another. 90 days of practice can reshape your life. Imagine the person you can become in 90 days. If every choice is deliberate, if every reaction is intentional, if every action is owned, that person is confident, disciplined, and empowered. That person handles stress, manages relationships, and builds progress steadily. That person is free from the quiet suffering of repeated excuses. That person is unstoppable because they have internal control. That person is you if you decide to accept responsibility fully. Responsibility is the key that unlocks progress, freedom, and purpose. Without it, with it, life accelerates. The quality of your days, the results of your efforts, and the strength of your character all come from how faithfully you own your actions. It is simple in concept, challenging in execution, and life-changing in effect. The choice to accept responsibility is yours, not tomorrow, not when life is easier. Today, each moment offers the chance to decide differently. Each action offers the chance to respond consciously. Each reaction offers the chance to shape your character. Those who embrace this principle will not only change their 90 days, they will change their lifetime. Responsibility is not optional. It is essential, and it begins with the decision to own everything you do and everything you allow in your life.
Chapter 3. Notice how small choices shape your daily mood. Every day, you make hundreds of small decisions, and most of them go unnoticed. These tiny choices seem insignificant at the moment, but they shape the way your entire day feels, the energy you carry, and the trajectory of your life. How you start your morning, what you choose to focus on, how you respond to messages or interruptions, what you allow into your mind. Each action subtly shifts your mood and mindset. Many people underestimate the power of these small decisions, yet they accumulate like invisible forces that quietly determine whether your day feels heavy or light, productive or wasted, hopeful or drained. You wake up and the first choice you make sets a tone. Will you check your phone immediately and absorb notifications, or will you take a few moments to breathe and orient yourself? Will you get out of bed feeling rushed and anxious, or slowly and intentionally with a sense of purpose? These early choices influence your nervous system, your emotional state, and the way your brain interprets the hours ahead. The morning is a silent stage where small choices cast shadows over the entire day. One decision to act with intention, even for a few minutes, can ripple across hours and interactions. Notice the meals you choose. Even something as simple as what you eat for breakfast changes energy levels, focus, and mood. Sugary foods might create a quick burst of energy followed by a crash that leaves irritability and fatigue. A balanced meal provides steady fuel and a clearer mindset. Choosing to hydrate, to move your body, or even to step outside for fresh air may feel minor, but each action changes your chemistry and your perception of the day. Your mood is by what you allow to enter your body and how you care for it. Energy is not just physical, it directly impacts mental clarity and emotional balance. Your thoughts are choices too. Most people think thoughts appear randomly, but in reality, the mind can be trained. Dwelling on worry, criticism, or negative predictions drains focus and saps confidence. Choosing to redirect attention toward gratitude, constructive problem solving, or positive goals subtly adjusts your internal state. Even pausing before reacting to a frustrating email or message creates space for a different outcome. Small choices in how you interpret events shape whether you feel stress or calm, anxiety or curiosity, frustration or motivation. Your day is largely the sum of these micro decisions. The people you interact with also influence your mood. Choosing whom to spend time with, whom to respond to immediately, and whose opinions you value affects emotional energy. A brief conversation with a negative person can drain optimism, while a single supportive exchange can boost confidence and perspective. Small choices like answering politely, avoiding gossip, or sending an encouraging message create invisible shifts in how you feel and how you carry yourself throughout the day. The environment you choose to inhabit is equally critical. A cluttered space can make the mind feel scattered, whereas a tidy, organized environment promotes focus and peace. Even your schedule and time management are small choices with big consequences. Choosing to start your day with purpose instead of letting it drift reacts directly on mood and momentum. Prioritizing one important task over many trivial ones creates satisfaction and a sense of progress. Saying no to distractions is a small act that accumulates powerfully over hours. Each time you protect your time, you protect your emotional energy. Small choices about when to act and when to rest shape whether you end the day exhausted or fulfilled. Movement and activity influence mood more than most realize. A choice to stretch for 5 minutes, to walk outside, or to breathe deeply can shift tension from the body and clarity to the mind. Even brief movement triggers chemical responses in the brain that enhance positivity, reduce stress, and sharpen focus. People ignore these small actions because they seem minor, but taken consistently, they build a foundation of emotional stability that carries throughout days and weeks. The accumulation of small acts of self-care determines whether you feel empowered or drained. Notice your words and tone. Every word you speak or write is a choice that affects both yourself and others. Complaining amplifies frustration. Encouraging yourself lifts morale. The choice to speak kindly, avoid harsh criticism, and communicate clearly impacts your inner dialogue. Your daily mood is shaped not only by what happens to you but by how you express and label it. Small choices in language, positive reinforcement, polite tone, measured responses produce a chain reaction of emotional outcomes for yourself and those around you. Sleep is another underestimated factor. Choosing to stay up late, scrolling, worrying, or avoiding rest changes brain chemistry and emotional resilience. A choice to prioritize sleep, even for an hour more, can transform your perspective, energy levels, and patience. Small sleep choices compound over days and weeks, gradually influencing how stress is managed and how you react to challenges. Mood is deeply tied to the quality of rest, and daily decisions about bedtime and recovery determine whether energy is available or depleted. Media and mental input shape perception and mood as well. Choosing what news, social media, or entertainment to consume has subtle psychological effect. Constant exposure to negativity can heighten stress and decrease motivation, whereas intentional exposure to educational content or inspiring stories strengthens hope and focus. Small choices about what you allow into your mind directly influence emotions, reactions, and decisions. Over time, these small choices either build clarity or confusion, confidence or doubt. Reflection is a small choice with immense power. Choosing to spend a few minutes at the end of the day reviewing successes, mistakes, and feelings strengthens awareness. Writing a quick note about what went well and what could be improved trains the brain to notice cause and effect in behavior. The habit of daily reflection allows mood to be evaluated, regulated, and shaped intentionally. People often overlook reflection because it requires pause and honesty, but this micro-practice dictates emotional resilience and intentional growth. Even micro-decisions in reactions to events create cumulative impact. You cannot always control circumstances, but you can control responses. A choice to stay calm during a stressful meeting, to breathe through frustration, or to redirect anger transforms immediate emotions and sets a precedent for future responses. Each micro-choice in behavior influences emotional trajectory. Learning to notice these tiny decisions cultivates awareness, mastery over mood, and improved interpersonal interactions. Gratitude is a daily choice that impacts mood dramatically. Choosing to notice small positives, to mentally acknowledge effort, to appreciate someone or something quietly, creates a chemical and psychological shift. Gratitude amplifies energy and fosters optimism. Choosing it each morning, midday, and evening accumulates into lasting emotional stability. The practice of noticing small things to be grateful for is a reminder that daily mood is built, not inherited. Even the choice to pause affects emotional state. When tension rises, choosing to step back, breathe, and observe feelings instead of reacting immediately shapes the quality of the day. Mindless reactions often lead to regret, while mindful pauses create intentional outcomes. Small acts of self-control over responses influence mental clarity, emotional regulation, and the quality of subsequent interaction. Emotional mastery begins with noticing these micro-moments and choosing consciously. Environment and sensory input shape mood through tiny choices. Choosing to open a window, listen to music, adjust lighting, or step outside influences energy and focus. Small adjustments in surroundings have outsized effects on perception and emotion. Ignoring them leaves mood at the mercy of external circumstances. The deliberate act of noticing and adjusting the immediate environment enhances emotional stability and productivity. Your internal dialogue is a series of micro-decisions. Choosing to speak kindly to yourself or criticize harshly shapes confidence, resilience, and decision-making. Each internal choice affects emotional state immediately. Small victories in controlling self-talk accumulate into long-term self-respect, motivation, and stability. Awareness of this internal conversation and the decisions it entails is critical to shaping daily mood intentionally. Even small commitments and follow-through matter.
Choosing to complete a short task or respond to a message promptly provides a sense of competence and control. Procrastination may seem harmless, but each delayed action erodes confidence and mood. Completing small actions consistently strengthens emotional balance and reinforces a sense of agency. The micro decisions to act, finish, and honor commitments shape the emotional undercurrent of the day. Physical posture and movement are subtle, yet powerful. Choosing to stand tall, walk with purpose, and breathe deeply signals alertness and confidence to the brain. Slouching, dragging steps, or shallow breathing communicates fatigue and lowers energy. Small conscious choices about body language alter chemical reactions, emotional resilience, and social interaction. The body and mind are inseparable, and tiny physical decisions shape the emotional climate of daily life. Even tiny acts of kindness affect mood significantly. Choosing to smile at someone, compliment, hold a door, or help a colleague triggers positive emotions internally. Generosity, even in minor acts, releases endorphins and fosters connection. Small choices to contribute positively ripple through interactions and reinforce personal satisfaction and optimism. Emotional tone is a product of these intentional decisions, repeated daily. Over time, these small choices compound into habit. Repeatedly choosing focus over distraction, kindness over criticism, movement over stagnation, clarity over confusion, and gratitude over negativity molds not just a single day, but an entire life. Mood and energy are not left to chance. They are built with intention, one micro decision at a time. Awareness of the impact of each small choice allows you to sculpt your emotional state deliberately, rather than drift passively. Every evening presents another opportunity. Reviewing how daily micro decisions influenced mood creates awareness for tomorrow. Choosing to learn from emotional highs and lows strengthens self-mastery. Choosing to adjust and plan minor corrections carries momentum into the next day. The small choices you notice and act upon compound over weeks, producing stability, confidence, and clarity in life. Ultimately, noticing how small choices shape mood means realizing that happiness, motivation, and energy are not gifts, but results of intentional decision. Life responds to the accumulation of minor acts, repeated consistently. One thoughtful choice in the morning can set a positive trajectory. One small pause before reacting can prevent hours of frustration. One decision to adjust environment, words, or focus can turn exhaustion into energy, irritation into calm, and distraction into clarity. The power of small choices lies in their accessibility. You do not need extraordinary circumstances or massive effort. Every moment offers dozens of micro decisions that determine emotional state. Mastery begins by noticing them, owning them, and selecting intentionally. With 90 days of consistent attention, this practice transforms not only daily mood, but your sense of self, energy levels, productivity, and resilience. Emotional life becomes predictable, manageable, and empowering. The key is to start noticing. Watch what triggers irritation, fatigue, or distraction. Watch what lifts energy, focus, or positivity. Recognize how each choice contributes to these shifts. Adjust one behavior, one thought, one action at a time. Small choices are invisible, but their effects are undeniable. Your emotional state is built minute by minute, decision by decision, and choice by choice. Master these and the quality of your days and your life changes profoundly. Notice what you eat, how you move, what you read, how you breathe, what you say to yourself and others, where you focus attention, how you react to stress, and how you structure your hours. Each is a small choice shaping your mood. 90 days of consistent, intentional micro decisions leads to emotional clarity, improved relationships, energy, and resilience. The life you feel is the sum of these tiny actions, and awareness of them gives control back to you.
Chapter 4. Create structure so emotions stop running your life. Most people live as though life is something that happens to them. Mornings start with chaos, afternoons pass in reaction to interruptions, and evenings close with regret over what was left unfinished. Emotions drive decisions, distractions dictate action, and energy drains without anyone noticing. Frustration builds silently, stress accumulates, motivation fades. Yet the solution is simple: structure. Creating structure does not mean removing freedom or turning life into a rigid set of rules. It means arranging your day, your actions, and your decisions in a way that your emotions do not control the outcome. It means choosing in advance what matters and when. It means giving your mind a framework to operate within, so that impulses, moods, and reactions no longer dictate your life. Structure begins with clarity. Clarity about your priorities, your responsibilities, and your goals. Without clarity, every decision becomes reactive. Every interruption feels urgent. Every mood swing feels justified. People drift through days like leaves in a river because they never decide what is essential. Essential tasks and values act as anchors. When you define them clearly, the rest of your day can be organized around them. Structure starts when you know what truly matters, not what feels urgent, loud, or distracting. Daily routines are the backbone of emotional stability. When mornings have no plan, the mind immediately scans for problems, distractions, and reactive impulses. You respond to emails before breakfast, scroll through social media before focus arrives, and let other people set the tone for your day. That is life run by emotion. A structured morning routine changes everything. It sets boundaries for energy, attention, and action. The first hour becomes intentional rather than reactive. Intentionality produces confidence, and confidence quiets the chaos in the mind. The principle extends beyond mornings. Structuring your day means planning periods of work, rest, reflection, and connection. Allocate time blocks for tasks that require focus. Assign breaks deliberately to recharge. Plan moments to reflect, think, and review progress. Without this, emotions fill the gaps. Stress fills idle minutes. Anxiety occupies empty hours. Decisions made in reactive states are often poor. Structure provides guardrails that prevent emotions from driving choices. Small habits reinforce the framework of structure. Making your bed, preparing your workspace, organizing your schedule the night before. These are not trivial. They are signals to the brain that you control your environment, your energy, and your time. The mind thrives on predictability. When actions are repeated consistently, stress decreases, focus improves, and emotional fluctuations have less influence over outcomes. The structure you create externally stabilizes your internal state. Boundaries are critical to this process. Saying yes to everything leads to emotional overload. Saying yes to interruptions, constant demands, and obligations outside your priorities results in reactive living. Structure requires intentional refusal. It requires recognizing what belongs in your day and what does not. Every boundary you set protects energy, focus, and emotional equilibrium. Boundaries are not selfish. They are essential for emotional resilience and productive action. Decision fatigue is a silent threat to emotional stability. Every small choice you delay or avoid accumulates stress. Structure combats this by pre-deciding important action. When you choose your priorities, plan meals, set workout times, and allocate work hours in advance, your brain is freed from constant deliberation. Decisions no longer come from emotional impulses, but from prepared intention. Each decision made in advance reduces stress, improves clarity, and strengthens emotional control. Structure also involves external environment. A cluttered space breeds cluttered thoughts. Disorganization invites distraction and emotional reactivity. Arranging your workspace, your home, and your digital life reduces cognitive load and creates a sense of calm. Every time your environment signals order, your mind mirrors that order. Emotional storms find fewer entry points. A tidy environment allows you to act with purpose rather than react with chaos. Reflection is a structural tool often overlooked. Setting aside time each day to review actions, emotions, and outcomes builds awareness. Reflecting on what triggered stress, what improved mood, and what drained energy allows you to adjust routines, boundaries, and habits. Structure is not static, it is dynamic. Reflection ensures that your framework evolves with your life, your goals, and your emotional landscape. Without reflection, structure becomes mechanical and fails to serve its purpose. Accountability enhances structure. Reporting progress to yourself or others ensures commitment and consistency. Accountability is a small but powerful force that prevents emotional whims from undermining plans. When you know someone is observing your progress, or when you observe it yourself, you are more likely to follow through on intentions, rather than let emotions dictate action. Accountability reinforces the architecture of structure, creating a reliable rhythm in life. Energy management is inseparable from structure. Emotions often overwhelm because energy is unevenly distributed. Working intensely during peak hours, resting strategically, and planning high-impact activities when energy is available prevents impulsive decisions driven by fatigue. The mind reacts emotionally when resources are low. Structure ensures resources are preserved and deployed intentionally. You control energy, not mood. You decide when to act, not when emotion demands it. Structure also protects mental health. Anxiety and stress are amplified when life feels unplanned. Reactive living forces constant evaluation, judgment, and worry. By creating routines, setting priorities, and planning the day deliberately, you reduce uncertainty and build confidence. Predictable frameworks calm the nervous system. You begin to act from clarity rather than fear. Emotional stability increases, and decision-making improves because structure replaces chaos with purpose. Intentional breaks within structure prevent emotional burnout. Pausing to rest, reflect, and recharge is not wasted time. It is an essential structural component. People who push continuously, without planned recovery, allow emotion and fatigue to dictate responses. Structure that includes recovery periods keeps emotional balance intact, improves productivity, and sustains momentum. Emotional storms cannot dominate a day that has deliberate pauses built into it. Anticipating challenges is another structural strategy. Expecting stresses, interruptions, or difficult conversations allows you to pre-plan reactions. Rather than reacting impulsively, you respond intentionally. Structure transforms unknowns into manageable elements. Anticipation reduces emotional volatility, strengthens confidence, and allows you to handle pressure without losing composure. Planning responses in advance builds resilience and empowers action. Time blocking strengthens emotional control. Assigning periods to specific tasks eliminates multitasking, which often produces stress and frustration. Focused work, followed by intentional rest, creates rhythm. The brain adapts to these predictable cycles, producing calm, clarity, and satisfaction. Structure creates natural momentum. Progress feels visible, which reinforces discipline and reduces emotional susceptibility. Small, consistent steps replace reactionary chaos. Daily preparation is a structural habit that prevents emotion from dominating action. Reviewing schedules, identifying priorities, and mentally rehearsing the day's tasks prime the mind. When you know what is expected, emotional impulses have less influence. Anxiety decreases, confidence increases, decisions feel grounded in clarity rather than fleeting feelings. Preparation transforms reactive energy into deliberate force. Boundaries with technology are structural tools that stabilize emotion. Notifications, constant scrolling,
and unplanned screen time fragment focus and elevate emotional reactivity. Choosing specific times for communication, limiting social media, and controlling media intake shields the mind from distraction-driven stress. The structure of controlled technology use preserves mental space, energy, and emotional clarity, creating a calmer and more focused day. Journaling reinforces structural awareness. Recording key tasks, reflections, and emotional triggers allows analysis of patterns. Over time, you can identify consistent emotional pitfalls and adjust routines accordingly. Journaling is a proactive structural tool that transforms experience into learning. It ensures emotions do not silently dictate behavior, instead making daily life intentional and measured. Goals create structural purpose, clear measurable objectives, direct energy, and attention. Without goals, small choices scatter effort, emotions influence action, and time dissipates. Structure aligned with goals focuses behavior, reduces impulsivity, and strengthens. The framework provided by goal orientation ensures that emotions are aligned with purpose, rather than hijacking the day. Each micro-decision is weighed against larger outcomes, ensuring coherence and direction. Habits are the pillars of structure. Repeating intentional behaviors reduces reliance on willpower and emotional strength. Once behaviors are habitual, the mind operates with less friction, freeing emotional energy for decision-making and creativity. Habits create a predictable environment for action, minimizing the influence of mood swings and reactive impulses. The mind learns what to expect, stress diminishes, and stability emerges naturally. Mindset influences how structure is applied. Believing that planning, routines, and boundaries are tools for freedom, rather than restriction, ensures adherence. A positive perception of structure increases motivation, consistency, and resilience. Seeing structure as a support system for action, not a cage, allows emotions to stabilize naturally. The mind collaborates with organization, rather than resisting it. Flexibility within structure ensures emotional resilience. Life is unpredictable, and rigid systems fail when reality changes. Allowing adjustments within a structured framework preserves the benefits of control while accommodating unforeseen events. Flexibility prevents emotional disruption from minor setbacks. Structure becomes a guide, not a dictate. Emotional stability persists because the framework is strong but adaptable. Social interaction also benefits from structural planning. Scheduling time for connection, conversation, and collaboration ensures relationships are nourished without emotional overextension. Social needs are met intentionally, reducing reactive social stress, guilt, or fatigue. Planned interactions reinforce balance, emotional control, and consistent support networks. Reflection on success and failure is a structural habit that regulates emotion. Evaluating accomplishments and missteps regularly reinforces learning and growth. Rather than being swept by emotional highs or lows, reflection converts experience into insight. Structure incorporates feedback loops that stabilize emotion, enhance decision-making, and strengthen confidence. Sleep is a structural necessity. Planning bedtime, wake time, and pre-sleep routine stabilizes hormones, energy, and emotional response. Irregular sleep leads to impulsivity, irritability, and poor focus. Structured rest ensures that emotional regulation is supported biologically, giving mental clarity and resilience. Consistent sleep is an anchor that holds emotional balance steady amidst daily pressures. Structure allows long-term vision to guide short-term action. When daily tasks are organized according to larger objectives, emotional impulses have less power. Frustration, boredom, and temptation are countered by deliberate alignment with meaningful goals. Small structured steps accumulate into significant progress, transforming emotional stability into tangible achievement. Decisions become calculated and purposeful, not reactive. The ultimate effect of structure is freedom. Emotional chaos disappears when the day is planned, priorities are clear, boundaries are respected, and habits are repeated consistently. You act because you have designed the system, not because you feel compelled by momentary impulses. Control shifts from unpredictable emotion to deliberate action. Energy, focus, and motivation become manageable resources, applied intentionally. Structure does not constrain life, it liberates.
Chapter 5. Train yourself to act before overthinking starts. People spend too much time thinking about what they should do instead of actually doing it. Overthinking steals energy, clarity, and momentum. It creates imagined obstacles that often do not exist and magnifies risks beyond reality. Most decisions in life are simple, but the mind complicates them through endless analysis, self-doubt, and imagined consequences. Every moment spent overthinking is a moment lost. Action is delayed, opportunity passes, and confidence erodes. If you want to change your life in meaningful ways, you must train yourself to act before overthinking starts. Action is the antidote to hesitation. It builds clarity, momentum, and results that thinking alone never produces. The human brain loves to anticipate problems. It is wired to imagine worst-case scenarios, replay mistakes, and predict potential failure. While this capacity can be useful for planning, it becomes dangerous when it paralyzes you. The longer you think, the more the mind manufactures fear and doubt. It asks, what if I fail? What if people judge me? What if this does not work? Those questions sound important, but they rarely improve outcomes. Most answers are learned only through doing. Action converts uncertainty into knowledge. The moment you act, overthinking loses its grip. Start by recognizing the first signals of hesitation. Anxiety in your chest, racing thoughts, repeated should I or shouldn't I cycles, or constant procrastination are all indicators that overthinking is beginning. Awareness is the first step to control. When you notice these signals, intervene immediately. Decide that you will take one concrete step no matter how small. The size of the action does not matter. What matters is that it moves you from thought to execution. Small wins build the habit of action. Begin with tasks that are manageable yet slightly uncomfortable. When you commit to completing them without overanalyzing, you create a neural pattern of confidence. Your mind learns that taking initiative leads to results rather than regret. These micro-actions accumulate into momentum. Once you experience repeated success, hesitation diminishes because the brain associates movement with positive outcomes rather than danger or uncertainty. Fear of imperfection is a major driver of overthinking. Many people delay action because they want to get it perfect. Perfection is an illusion. No action is flawless at first attempt. The only way to improve is to act, receive feedback, and adjust. Accepting that mistakes are part of growth removes the paralysis of overanalysis. Action becomes a tool for learning, not just performing. Training yourself to move before overthinking requires embracing imperfection and focusing on progress rather than flawless execution. Discipline strengthens this process. Action before thought is not recklessness. It is controlled initiative. Discipline allows you to consistently practice immediate responses without letting emotion or doubt dominate. Every time you act without excessive deliberation, you reinforce self-trust. You prove to yourself that you are capable of handling challenges and managing consequences. Self-trust reduces hesitation and allows action to become instinctive. Preparation enhances your ability to act swiftly. While overthinking is about imagining too many possibilities, preparation reduces the unknown. Understand your goals, know the resources available, and anticipate common obstacles. Preparation gives a framework for decision-making so that when action is required, your mind is clear. You do not rise because you are ready. Action flows naturally from readiness rather than being blocked by fear or uncertainty. Time constraints can also be used as a tool. Limiting the time you allow yourself to make a decision forces the brain to prioritize action over rumination. Set a timer, give yourself a short window, and commit to executing within that time. You will notice that many concerns dissolve when a deadline forces movement. Overthinking loses its advantage when immediate action is required. Momentum beats hesitation every time. Visualization can help, but only as a guide for action, not a substitute. Imagine completing a task successfully, but immediately follow visualization with tangible steps. Thinking about action without doing is the trap of overthinking. Visualization should prepare the mind for execution, not replace it. Action is the vehicle through which vision becomes reality. Without it, ideas remain imaginary, and frustration grows. Overthinking often appears during communication. Sending a message, having a conversation, or giving feedback can trigger endless debate in your mind. What if I say it wrong? What if they misunderstand? The only way to overcome this paralysis is to act, write, or respond promptly, while focusing on clarity and intention rather than perfection. Real confidence emerges from experience. The more you act, the more natural communication becomes. Overthinking shrinks when action is habitual. Decision-making in life is like training a muscle. The more you practice acting without excessive thought, the stronger and faster your instinct becomes. Begin with minor choices, respond immediately to a request, tackle small tasks without delay, follow through on commitments quickly. These actions teach the mind that immediate response leads to positive results. Gradually, this training extends to larger, more significant decisions. Habits of action create momentum that compounds over time. Emotional regulation plays a key role. Overthinking is often fueled by heightened emotions, anxiety, fear, excitement, or stress. Learning to observe your feelings without being controlled by them allows action to precede rumination. Notice emotion as a signal, not a controller. Take the first step while maintaining composure. Acting in alignment with intention, rather than emotional reaction, strengthens confidence and reduces hesitation over time. Accountability accelerates this habit. When you commit to someone else or even publicly commit to yourself to act without delay, you increase follow-through. External expectations push you out of indecision. Sharing intentions with a mentor, friend, or colleague creates reinforcement that encourages action before thought spirals. Accountability turns habit into a visible pattern of result. Energy management also impacts the ability to act before overthinking. Fatigue, hunger, or stress can amplify hesitation. Choose to act when energy is high or strategically manage energy to reduce mental clutter. Short breaks, physical movement, hydration, or focus exercises prepare the mind to act decisively. Energy fuels action. Overthinking thrives in states of depletion and disarray. Controlling energy creates readiness. Start embracing imperfection through repeated exposure to minor risks. Call, send, or initiate things you normally delay. Accept that the outcome may not be perfect, and adjust as you go. Each completed action reinforces competence, courage, and confidence. Overthinking diminishes when you consistently prove to yourself that mistakes are temporary and manageable. Courage is built through repetition, not motivation. Create triggers for immediate action. A simple rule such as act within 5 minutes when an idea appears reduces rumination. This rule enforces the habit of moving rather than thinking endlessly. It teaches your brain that initiative is rewarded with progress, while hesitation has no advantage. Over time, these triggers automate responsiveness, and hesitation becomes rare. Reflection and learning follow action, not preempt it.
Overthinkers often try to anticipate all outcomes in advance. Instead, act, observe results, and adapt. Reflection after action ensures growth and improvement without allowing fear or doubt to dominate beforehand. Action becomes the source of insight, not paralysis. Experience becomes the teacher, not speculation. Account for the role of comparison. Overthinking often arises from measuring yourself against others. Am I doing it right? Will others approve? These thoughts are distractions. Acting immediately based on your priorities, values, and goals neutralizes comparison. Progress is personal. Overthinking fades when action aligns with your objectives, rather than imagined judgment. Accountability to yourself reinforces self-trust. When you act consistently without overthinking, you prove your reliability to yourself. This inner trust is critical for facing larger challenges. Over time, the habit of immediate action grows into a defining characteristic. Momentum becomes natural. Hesitation becomes the exception, not the rule. You condition your mind to value execution over rumination. Every action produces clarity. Indecision often stems from lack of clarity, but clarity emerges through doing. Action exposes gaps, reveals insights, and generates new understanding. Each step taken transforms ambiguity into knowledge. Overthinking thrives in darkness. Action produces light. The habit of moving first, thinking second, clears the fog that paralyzes most people. Use physical motion as a catalyst. Standing, walking, or beginning the task physically primes mental readiness. The body leads and the mind follows. Motion interrupts overthinking. Initiating the first movement, no matter how small, shifts energy from hesitation to progress. Kinetic action reinforces mental action. One simple step often dismantles hours of rumination. Celebrate small achievements to reinforce habit. Immediate recognition of progress, no matter how minor, strengthens the brain's association between action and reward. Motivation grows organically. Confidence builds. Overthinking diminishes as evidence accumulates that acting produces result. Micro-celebrations train the mind to prefer execution over endless speculation. Finally, understand that mastery of action precedes mastery of results. Waiting to feel ready, confident, or perfect guarantees stagnation. The act of doing cultivates readiness, confidence, and skill. Every successful outcome, every lesson learned, and every momentum gained starts with moving before thought immobilizes you. Action is the driver of growth, and overthinking is the enemy of progress. Training yourself to act first rewires the brain, accelerates development, and builds a life defined by decisions and results, rather than hesitation and regret. By committing to consistent movement, embracing imperfection, creating triggers, managing energy, reflecting after action, and celebrating progress, you train the mind to prioritize execution over speculation. Momentum builds exponentially. Confidence grows. Overthinking loses influence. 90 days of practice transforms hesitation into habit, fear into courage, and indecision into clarity. Each day becomes a testament to the power of moving before the mind interferes. Action becomes automatic. Overthinking becomes rare, and your life responds to initiative rather than doubt.
Chapter 6. Build self-trust by doing what you promise. Trust is not given lightly, and the most important trust you will ever cultivate is the trust you have in yourself. Every promise you make to yourself, whether spoken aloud or silently held in your mind, carries weight. The moment you commit to an action and follow through, you reinforce a belief that you are reliable, capable, and disciplined. When you break promises to yourself, even small ones, you plant seeds of doubt that grow quietly but powerfully, eroding confidence, motivation, and clarity. Building self-trust is not a one-time event. It is a practice, a daily commitment, and a deliberate exercise in integrity with your own life. Most people underestimate the impact of unkept promises. Skipping a workout, postponing a task, avoiding a difficult conversation, or neglecting a commitment to learn a new skill might feel minor at the moment. Yet each of these small breaches chips away at self-trust. The mind notices patterns. Every unkept promise whispers a subtle message: you are not reliable. Over time, these whispers become a dominant narrative, shaping behavior and emotional state. The brain begins to question intentions, motivation declines, and hesitation becomes habitual. Self-trust erodes silently, often unnoticed, until confidence is deeply weakened. The first step in building self-trust is clarity in what you promise. Vague commitments lead to ambiguity and eventual failure. Saying, "I will exercise more," or "I will work on my goals," without specific actions invites procrastination and doubt. Instead, define exactly what you will do, when and how. "I will walk for 30 minutes at 7 a.m. today," or "I will complete one chapter of my study plan by 9 p.m. Precise commitments are measurable and actionable. Clear promises eliminate ambiguity, reduce excuses, and create an environment where trust can grow. Begin with small promises. Overcommitting early creates risk of failure, which undermines confidence. Choose manageable, realistic actions that you can complete consistently. Every successful follow-through strengthens self-trust, reinforces discipline, and creates momentum. The brain records each success as evidence that intentions align with action. Small victories may seem trivial, but their cumulative effect is profound. They establish a foundation for tackling larger, more challenging commitments with confidence. Consistency is key. Self-trust grows when actions are repeated, not sporadic. One fulfilled promise is encouraging, but repeated fulfillment creates a pattern that transforms belief into certainty. The brain thrives on predictable outcomes. When promises are consistently met, the mind learns to expect reliability from yourself. Each day of integrity reinforces the next, creating a positive feedback loop that strengthens confidence and accelerates growth. Accountability to oneself is vital. External accountability can help, but the core of self-trust is internal. Hold yourself responsible for following through. Track progress, note successes, and acknowledge failures honestly. Reflection on adherence to promises allows you to adjust strategies without self-criticism. Honest evaluation reinforces integrity because it ensures that promises are honored consistently, not by chance. Self-accountability builds resilience, awareness, and confidence. Avoid making promises you cannot keep. Every failure to follow through diminishes self-trust more than any external criticism could. Carefully assess your capacity, time, energy, and resources before committing. It is better to underpromise and overdeliver than to overpromise and underperform. This practice trains the mind to respect boundaries, understand limits, and act within capacity while maintaining integrity. True self-trust is grounded in realistic action, not aspiration alone. Action must follow intention immediately. Promises left unacted upon quickly decay into unfulfilled expectations. When you commit to something, begin without delay. Immediate action reinforces credibility with yourself. Momentum grows when intention is translated into action quickly. The longer the gap between promise and execution, the more opportunities arise for doubt, distraction, or avoidance. Prompt follow-through is a fundamental habit of reliable self-trust. Mistakes are inevitable, but how you respond defines the growth of self-trust. Failing to complete a promise is not a permanent breach if corrective action follows. Recognize the failure, take responsibility, and implement an immediate solution. Adjust schedules, remove obstacles, or modify the promise to ensure completion. Acting decisively to correct a lapse signals to yourself that integrity is non-negotiable. Trust is resilient when it is backed by accountability and corrective action. Every promise fulfilled reinforces confidence in decision-making. Indecision often stems from lack of self-trust. When you know that you follow through reliably, hesitation diminishes. You make choices swiftly because the mind anticipates execution rather than procrastination or failure. Self-trust is the bridge between intention and action. Every fulfilled promise strengthens that bridge, making movement toward goals smoother, faster, and more assured. Self-trust also impacts emotional stability. When you honor commitments to yourself, anxiety decreases because you know that action follows intention. Guilt fades because you act with integrity rather than avoidance. Motivation strengthens because the mind experiences success and consistency. Discipline becomes internalized rather than externally enforced. Emotional resilience emerges as a natural byproduct of consistent action and reliable behavior. Accountability systems amplify self-trust. Recording promises, using journals, tracking progress, or sharing intentions with a trusted friend or mentor increases visibility and encourages follow-through. External systems serve as reinforcement while internal trust develops. They provide evidence of consistency, offer reflection points, and create structure that nurtures reliability. Tools and habits strengthen the natural growth of self-trust. Building self-trust also requires patience. Change is not instantaneous. Early attempts to honor every promise may encounter failures. Persistence through these initial setbacks signals to your mind that you value integrity more than comfort or avoidance. Each day of renewed commitment strengthens neural pathways associated with reliability, self-discipline, and confidence. Trust grows incrementally, day by day, step by step. The habit of commitment extends into all areas of life: health, relationships, finances, learning, and personal growth all depend on reliable action. When you consistently do what you promise in small ways, the pattern translates into larger domains. Completing a planned workout, reading a chapter of a book, or responding promptly to commitments trains the brain to approach all responsibilities with integrity. Self-trust becomes pervasive, influencing every decision, action, and interaction. Avoid using motivation as a prerequisite for action. Motivation fluctuates and cannot reliably produce follow-through. Self-trust is built on discipline and action, regardless of feeling. Commit to the action, follow through even when enthusiasm is low, and reward yourself for completion. The consistency of action is more powerful than sporadic bursts of energy. The brain associates reliability with behavior, not mood, and self-trust strengthens. Transparency with oneself reinforces trust. Avoid rationalizing failures or minimizing lapses. Be honest about adherence to promises, the obstacles encountered, and the strategies required for improvement. Clarity in assessment strengthens awareness, accountability, and planning. Self-trust flourishes in an environment of truthfulness rather than justification, excuses, or denial. Prioritization enhances the effectiveness of promises. Not all commitments carry equal weight. Focus on the promises that impact your long-term growth, well-being, and integrity. Completing minor promises consistently is valuable, but aligning actions with critical goals accelerates the development of competence and self-confidence. Strategic focus ensures that energy is used efficiently, trust is reinforced meaningfully, and momentum builds in the most impactful area. Visualization of completion can support action, but cannot replace it. Picture yourself fulfilling the promise, experiencing the result, and feeling the confidence that follows. Then take immediate steps toward execution. Visualization primes the mind for action, but does not build self-trust on its own.
Actual performance of promises is what solidifies reliability. The brain distinguishes intention from reality, and only reality strengthens trust. Self-trust encourages risk-taking. When you consistently honor commitments, the fear of failure diminishes. You know that even if challenges arise, your discipline and integrity will guide you to corrective action. Confidence in your reliability supports initiative, creativity, and persistence. Trust in yourself becomes a foundation for bolder decisions and sustained progress. Reviewing and reflecting on promises regularly consolidates growth. Take time to assess what was fulfilled, where lapses occurred, and how to improve. Reflection provides insight, reinforces learning, and ensures that patterns of reliability continue. Consistent analysis strengthens the mental association between intention, action, and outcome, further embedding trust in your character. Self-trust also affects relationships. When you consistently do what you promise to yourself, your behavior aligns with your values. You become a model of reliability for others. Trustworthiness in personal and professional interactions stems from internal consistency. When you honor your own commitments, external credibility naturally follows, creating a cycle of integrity, respect, and influence. The process of building self-trust transforms identity. Each fulfilled promise signals to your brain, "I am someone who acts with integrity." Over time, this becomes a self-perception, a core belief and a guiding principle. Behavior aligns with identity, reducing inner conflict, hesitation, and doubt. Trust in oneself shapes character, decisions, and the overall trajectory of life. Ultimately, self-trust is a foundation for freedom, effectiveness, and personal power. Without it, fear, hesitation, and indecision dominate. With it, decisions are confident, actions are consistent, and life becomes manageable. Every promise kept, no matter how small, is a brick in the structure of self-trust. 90 days of deliberate practice in honoring commitments transforms doubt into certainty, hesitation into action, and potential into achievement. You become a person whose word to themselves is unbreakable, whose confidence is rooted in consistent integrity, and whose life is guided by reliable action rather than uncertainty, fear, or procrastination.
Chapter 7. Reduce mental noise by simplifying daily decisions. Every day, the mind is bombarded with hundreds of choices, many of them unnecessary, trivial, or repetitive. From the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, your brain is making decisions about what to wear, what to eat, which messages to respond to, and how to prioritize dozens of small tasks. Most of these decisions do not require deep thought, yet they consume energy, attention, and mental clarity. This constant activity creates mental noise, a fog of distraction and fatigue that clouds judgment, reduces focus, and diminishes the capacity for meaningful action. Simplifying daily decisions is the key to quieting this noise and freeing energy for what truly matters. Decision fatigue is real. The more decisions your brain must process, the less capable it becomes of handling important choices. Mental energy depletes as trivial questions accumulate. Many people do not notice how much this affects productivity, creativity, and emotional balance. By simplifying repetitive decisions, you preserve cognitive resources for strategic, high-value actions. Your mind can operate with focus, clarity, and calm rather than constantly reacting to minor choices. Every simplified decision is a step toward reducing mental clutter. One effective method is creating routines. Morning, evening, and work routines minimize the number of choices you must make. Decide in advance what you will eat, what you will wear, what tasks you will prioritize first thing in the day. When these choices are predetermined, your mind no longer wastes energy deliberating. Routines create a predictable rhythm that stabilizes mood, reduces stress, and allows attention to focus on important actions. Structure and simplicity together quiet mental noise effectively. Simplifying decisions also involves eliminating unnecessary options. Too many choices overwhelm the brain. For instance, a wardrobe full of similar clothing creates decision fatigue. Reducing options to a limited set of reliable, practical items removes the daily debate about what to wear. The same principle applies to meals, work processes, or habits. Simplification does not limit freedom, it liberates attention and reduces stress, making it easier to act decisively on priorities. Less choice leads to more focus, not restriction. Prioritizing decisions is essential. Not all choices carry equal weight, and recognizing which ones matter allows you to allocate mental energy wisely. Decide quickly on trivial matters and reserve focus for impactful decisions. Learning to differentiate between critical and non-critical choices reduces overthinking and minimizes unnecessary emotional fluctuation. Your mind can then concentrate on actions that move life forward instead of being caught in an endless loop of minor deliberation. Automation is a powerful tool for reducing mental noise. Bill payments, grocery lists, reminders, and recurring tasks can be scheduled or automated. Every task removed from conscious thought frees cognitive space. The brain is freed from processing repetitive administrative decisions and can redirect energy to creativity, strategy, and problem solving. Automation is not laziness, it is an intentional strategy to protect mental bandwidth for higher-level thinking. Decision rules simplify complex situations. Creating predetermined criteria for recurring choices allows action without deliberation. For example, deciding that every morning you prioritize the top 3 tasks, regardless of distractions, removes judgment calls from the process. The mind becomes conditioned to follow rules rather than debate endlessly. This approach reduces stress, increases consistency, and improves efficiency. Rules act as mental guardrails, guiding behavior without consuming attention unnecessarily. Batching decisions reduces interruption. Instead of reacting to every email, message, or small request immediately, designate specific times to handle similar tasks together. Responding to communication in batches conserves mental energy, prevents distraction, and maintains focus on high-priority work. Constantly switching between tasks consumes attention and magnifies stress. Batching simplifies flow, quiets mental noise, and creates a rhythm that strengthens productivity and clarity. Limiting options enhances speed and confidence. Choice paralysis often occurs when the brain confronts too many alternatives. Reducing the number of possible actions simplifies decision-making and reduces hesitation. Whether choosing a meal, a route to work, or an approach to a task, limiting options allows quicker, more confident action. Simplification prevents the mind from getting stuck in endless evaluation and promotes decisiveness. Quick decisions free energy for better execution and higher value thinking. Consistency in small daily decisions builds stability. Eating at the same times, sleeping on a regular schedule, exercising consistently, and following a predictable workflow reduces uncertainty. The brain thrives on patterns. Predictable routines conserve energy, lower stress, and prevent mood swings driven by irregularity. Daily stability minimizes the emotional impact of external disruptions. Mental noise decreases as repeated, reliable choices create internal predictability and balance. Eliminating unnecessary commitments also reduces cognitive load. Many people agree to tasks, meetings, or social engagements that do not align with priorities. Every extra obligation adds decision weight, emotional energy, and mental clutter. Saying no strategically simplifies life, preserves focus, and ensures that energy is applied to meaningful action. Reducing external obligations is as important as reducing internal decision clutter. Less mental load allows attention to concentrate on impactful goals. Delegation is another form of simplification. Assigning tasks to others, when possible, reduces the number of choices you must manage. Trusting capable people with responsibilities lightens mental burden and frees focus for strategic, high-impact actions. Delegation prevents overextension and preserves clarity. Mental noise diminishes when decisions are distributed thoughtfully, leaving the mind available for decisions that require unique insight and personal accountability. Digital simplification matters. Phones, social media, apps, and notifications constantly demand attention and prompt decision. Controlling digital input, turning off non-essential notifications, and limiting time spent on devices reduces mental clutter. Every unnecessary ping or alert interrupts thought, triggers emotion, and drains focus. Intentional digital discipline preserves mental energy, reduces stress, and enhances the ability to act deliberately on priorities. Simplifying technology use is a direct strategy to quiet the mind. Pre-deciding responses and routines minimizes reactive thinking. For recurring situations, such as common emails, conversations, or work processes, prepare templates, scripts, or plans in advance. This prevents hesitation, reduces uncertainty, and streamlines action. Mental energy is saved for unique challenges rather than repetitive interaction. Predictable responses reduce emotional fluctuation and maintain focus on higher priority decisions. Preparation creates simplicity and stability in the midst of constant activity. Mindful habits reduce cognitive clutter. Daily meditation, journaling, or reflection provides a mental reset. By dedicating time to process thoughts, emotions, and plans, the brain clears unnecessary noise. Mindful practice strengthens focus, improves emotional regulation, and allows conscious prioritization of decisions. Regular reflection creates awareness of patterns, helping to simplify future choices and reduce wasted mental energy. Mental quiet emerges from intentional practice and structured awareness. Simplifying goals reduces overcomplication. Many people set too many objectives, which scatter attention and overwhelm decision-making. Focusing on a few high-priority goals allows the brain to allocate resources efficiently. Breaking larger goals into actionable steps creates clarity and prevents hesitation caused by ambiguity. Simplified goals foster confidence, decisiveness, and sustained momentum. Mental noise decreases when priorities are explicit, achievable, and strategically ordered. Eliminating unnecessary information intake is crucial. Constant exposure to news, opinions, and content fragments attention. Deciding what to read, watch, and listen to intentionally prevents information overload. Filtering input reduces mental clutter and allows focus on knowledge and activities that align with your goals. Simplifying information intake protects concentration, emotional stability, and cognitive energy. Awareness of mental diet is as important as dietary choices for the body. Environment shapes simplicity. Organizing physical space reduces the number of daily choices and decisions. Cluttered spaces create distraction and decision fatigue. A tidy workspace, organized tools, and minimized personal clutter create predictability, ease, and focus. The brain interprets order as clarity and chaos as noise. By simplifying surroundings, you reduce mental effort, conserve energy, and maintain focus on what truly matters. Self-discipline amplifies simplification. Choosing in advance which habits, routines, and behaviors will dominate each day reduces reliance on spontaneous decision-making. The more consistent and disciplined daily actions are, the fewer choices must be made on impulse. This stability reduces stress, prevents overthinking, and allows energy to flow toward meaningful work and personal growth.
Discipline turns simplification into a sustainable lifestyle, not just a temporary fix. Simplifying decisions also strengthens confidence. When you remove trivial choices, you reduce the likelihood of mistakes caused by distraction or fatigue. Confidence grows as consistent, deliberate actions produce predictable outcomes. The brain trusts its own judgment when energy is focused, priorities are clear, and decisions are streamlined. Confidence and clarity feed each other, creating momentum and reducing hesitation. Review and adjustment reinforce simplification. Regularly evaluate which decisions, routines, or options create unnecessary noise, remove, modify, or delegate them. Continuous refinement ensures that mental clarity is maintained and energy is preserved. Simplification is not a one-time act, but an ongoing process. Iterative improvement maintains efficiency, reduces stress, and enhances emotional stability. Awareness and adjustment prevent mental clutter from creeping back unnoticed. Sleep and rest contribute to simplified thinking. Fatigue amplifies decision complexity, exaggerates risk perception, and increases emotional reactivity. Well-rested minds process information efficiently, make faster decisions, and act with clarity. Prioritizing restorative habits, including consistent sleep schedules and breaks, simplifies daily mental functioning. Energy and attention are preserved, reducing unnecessary noise and enhancing overall performance. Simplifying relationships is another key factor. Not all interactions require extensive mental investment. Choose relationships, conversations, and collaborations that are supportive, meaningful, and aligned with values. Avoid unnecessary conflict or draining interaction. Mental energy saved from simplifying social choices can be directed toward growth, creativity, and productive action. Emotional and cognitive clarity benefits when social inputs are curated intentionally. The ultimate effect of simplifying daily decisions is freedom. Mental noise decreases, energy increases, and focus sharpens. By reducing unnecessary choices, delegating, automating, and prioritizing, life becomes manageable and intentional. Clarity emerges, confidence grows, emotional stability strengthens. When the mind is free from trivial decision overload, you are empowered to act decisively, pursue meaningful goals, and respond to challenges with calm focus and deliberate action. Simplifying daily decisions is not about avoiding responsibility or limiting options. It is about intentionally directing energy, preserving focus, and minimizing distraction. 90 days of disciplined simplification transforms mental clutter into clarity, fatigue into energy, hesitation into decisiveness, and chaos into strategic action. Each simplified choice builds momentum, strengthens self-control, and creates a life where decisions are purposeful, mental noise is reduced, and every action aligns with meaningful outcome.
Chapter 8. Check your behavior weekly without self-criticism. Life moves fast, and most people spend each day reacting to events rather than observing their own actions. Weeks pass, and patterns emerge without conscious awareness. Habits, choices, and behaviors either build your future or erode it quietly. The most powerful tool for personal growth is reflection, but reflection must be done carefully. Checking your behavior weekly provides insight, creates accountability, and strengthens self-awareness. The key is to do this without self-criticism, because judgmental evaluation often shuts the mind down, reduces motivation, and triggers negative emotion. Observation without blame allows clarity, learning, and growth to flourish. Self-reflection is a skill that must be cultivated intentionally. It is not about criticizing yourself for mistakes or failures. It is about understanding what happened, why it happened, and what can be done differently next time. When you analyze behavior with curiosity rather than judgment, you unlock insight that is actionable and motivating. The mind is much more receptive to learning when it feels safe and objective, rather than attacked. Weekly behavioral checks create a consistent opportunity to see progress, identify patterns, and adjust strategies without generating guilt or shame. Start by reviewing actions from the past week. Look at decisions made, responses to challenges, tasks completed, and promises kept. Observe both successes and areas that could improve. The focus is on accuracy and awareness, not evaluation. Ask yourself simple questions. Did I act in alignment with my priorities? Did I follow through on commitments? Did I manage time and energy effectively? Did I respond to others with patience and clarity? These questions provide a structure for observation without inducing self-criticism. Documenting your observations enhances effectiveness. Writing down what occurred, how you acted, and what results emerged creates a record for comparison and learning. Journaling allows perspective and detachment. Seeing patterns on paper reduces emotional bias and prevents distorted self-perception. Recording behavior weekly builds a narrative of growth. Over time, you can see incremental improvements, recurring obstacles, and trends in decision-making. This awareness allows intentional adjustments rather than reactive or emotionally driven changes. Focus on behavior rather than identity. Avoid phrases like "I am lazy" or "I am irresponsible." Instead, describe actions concretely. I delayed 2 tasks today, or I completed the exercise I planned. Separating behavior from self-image prevents shame and maintains motivation. Behavior can be changed, adjusted, and improved. Identity is internalized over time through repeated patterns of action. Observing actions without labeling the self keeps reflection constructive and growth-focused. Celebrate consistency and success during weekly checks. Recognizing even small achievements reinforces confidence and strengthens motivation. Many people focus only on shortcomings, which undermines progress and morale. Highlighting accomplishments, no matter how minor, reminds the mind that effort and action produce result. Balanced evaluation, combining acknowledgement of successes with recognition of opportunities for improvement, nurtures both accountability and self-esteem. Positive reinforcement accelerates habit formation and builds resilience. Identify patterns rather than isolated events. One failure or lapse does not define the week or your character. Look for recurring behaviors, triggers, and tendencies. Perhaps procrastination shows up in certain types of tasks, or emotional reactions appear under specific stressors. Understanding patterns allows strategic intervention. Adjust routines, environment, or mindset to address these tendencies. Patterns provide insight into the system's underlying behavior rather than individual mistakes. Awareness of trends transforms weekly checks into a tool for meaningful change. Avoid dwelling on negative emotions while reflecting. Guilt, shame, and regret distract from learning and reduce the likelihood of action. Observe what happened neutrally, then shift attention to what can be adjusted in the future. Weekly reflection is a diagnostic tool, not a punishment. It is an opportunity to align behavior with goals, values, and priorities. Neutral observation keeps the mind focused, calm, and receptive to growth. Prioritize what matters most during reflection. Not every action requires analysis. Focus on behaviors directly related to personal growth, productivity, health, relationships, and goal achievement. By concentrating on meaningful patterns, you prevent overwhelm and maximize the benefit of reflection. Simplifying the scope ensures that insights are actionable, tangible, and impactful. Weekly checks are most effective when they target high-priority behaviors rather than trivial actions. Use questions as a framework for reflection. Examples include: Did I make decisions aligned with my long-term goals? Did I manage my time effectively? Did I communicate clearly and respectfully? Did I maintain energy and focus on important tasks? Did I act with integrity and consistency? These questions guide observation without generating negative emotion. They direct attention to actions and results, rather than creating self-judgment. Questions act as neutral lenses through which behavior is viewed and understood. Separate evaluation from emotion. Observing behavior can trigger frustration or disappointment, but controlling emotional response is critical. Take note of what happened, understand why, and plan adjustments calmly. Emotional detachment does not mean indifference. It means managing feelings so they do not distort insight. Objective reflection allows learning to be the outcome rather than emotional turmoil. The mind operates more efficiently when analysis is clear, intentional, and unclouded by judgment. Develop a plan for improvement based on observation. Weekly checks are incomplete without follow-through. Identify 1 or 2 specific actions to adjust in the coming week. Perhaps it is managing time better, responding calmly in stressful situations, or completing tasks more consistently. Concrete, actionable adjustments ensure that reflection translates into behavior change. Small, deliberate improvements compound over time, creating significant transformation without self-criticism obstructing the process. Observe emotional responses to events as well. Behavior is influenced by mood, stress, and energy. Understanding how you react to pressure, frustration, or distraction allows preparation for future challenges. Weekly reflection should include emotional assessment alongside action analysis, recognizing triggers, evaluating responses, and planning coping strategies strengthens emotional intelligence and resilience. Behavior is not isolated. It is a product of thoughts, feelings, and context. Accountability can complement weekly self-check. Sharing insights with a trusted mentor, coach, or friend reinforces commitment and provides external perspective. Feedback highlights blind spots, validates progress, and encourages consistency. Accountability ensures that reflection leads to action rather than stagnation. Combined with non-critical self-observation, external accountability accelerates growth and builds confidence in the ability to change behavior intentionally. Reflection also includes assessing environmental influence. Consider how surroundings, routines, and relationships affect actions and decisions. Some behaviors are triggered or amplified by external factors. Identifying these allows modification of environment to support desired outcomes. For example, cluttered workspaces, digital distractions, or high-stress relationships may impact focus and productivity. Adjusting surroundings proactively strengthens self-regulation and reduces unnecessary behavioral challenges. Self-compassion strengthens the reflection process. Treat yourself with understanding and patience while observing patterns. Acknowledge effort, resilience, and growth. Avoid harsh judgment for lapses or setbacks. Self-compassion maintains motivation, preserves mental energy, and enhances the likelihood of sustained improvement. Growth is built through consistent effort, not through negative self-assessment. Weekly checks are tools for empowerment, not punishment. Use metrics when possible. Quantifying behavior through numbers, time spent, or completion rates provides objective clarity. Metrics reduce subjectivity and prevent distortion caused by emotion or bias. Tracking progress numerically allows better identification of patterns, more precise adjustments, and visible evidence of growth. Objective data complements neutral observation, enhancing accuracy and effectiveness of reflection. Incorporate gratitude and recognition into weekly checks. Identify moments where you acted well, demonstrated patience, or made good decisions. Recognizing these instances reinforces positive habits and encourages their continuation. Focusing solely on shortcomings erodes confidence and self-trust. Balanced reflection
acknowledges both strength and areas for growth, creating a realistic and motivating perspective. Weekly behavior checks also help prioritize future planning. By understanding what worked and what did not, you can design routines, schedules, and strategies for the coming week more effectively. Insight from observation informs preparation, resource allocation, and decision-making. Future weeks become progressively more productive, intentional, and aligned with goals. Reflection without application has limited value. Linking observation to planning ensures momentum and improvement. Mindset is critical. Viewing reflection as neutral, informative, and constructive prevents defensive responses. Curiosity and objectivity replace blame and regret. Approaching weekly checks with this mindset creates an environment where learning is natural, consistent, and self-reinforcing. Behavioral insight becomes a tool for growth rather than a source of stress. The mind adapts and strengthens when observation is treated as a supportive practice. Over time, weekly behavior checks create self-awareness. Patterns of procrastination, distraction, or emotional reactivity become visible. Strength and tendencies are clearly identified. Awareness precedes change. You cannot fix what you cannot see. By observing without criticism, you maintain motivation while acquiring the insight necessary to align actions with values, priorities, and goals. Insight produces intentional behavior, calm decision-making, and improved performance. Reflection enhances adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and behaviors must adjust to circumstances. Weekly observation allows course correction before small habits become entrenched problems. Timely intervention prevents negative cycles from taking hold. Adjustments based on careful observation improve efficiency, resilience, and results. Weekly self-checks create an ongoing feedback loop that guides behavior intentionally rather than letting habits drift uncontrolled. Finally, consistency builds mastery. Observing your behavior weekly becomes a habit itself. Over months, patterns of awareness, adjustment, and self-regulation become embedded in daily life. Behavior aligns with intentions more naturally. Confidence grows. Stress decreases. Motivation strengthens. Weekly reflection, without self-criticism, fosters sustained growth, emotional stability, and consistent progress toward goals. It transforms insight into action, challenges into learning, and time into meaningful advancement.
Chapter 9. Stay present when impatience tries to sabotage progress. Impatience is one of the biggest obstacles to meaningful progress in life. The desire for instant results often pushes people to rush, skip steps, or abandon processes that are essential for long-term growth. When impatience arises, it creates tension, distracts focus, and diminishes the quality of effort. Every goal worth achieving requires time, consistency, and deliberate attention. Progress cannot be forced. It must be nurtured patiently. Staying present during moments of impatience is a skill that protects effort, sustains motivation, and ensures that actions align with long-term objectives rather than fleeting emotions. The first step to managing impatience is recognizing it. Impatience often manifests as restlessness, irritability, or the urge to skip essential tasks. The mind may feel constrained by waiting for results or progress. Physical cues may include fidgeting, tension in the shoulders, rapid breathing, or racing thoughts. Noticing these signals allows you to intervene consciously rather than reacting automatically. Awareness is the foundation for staying grounded and maintaining focus on the present moment. Understanding the natural pace of progress is essential. Every meaningful accomplishment follows a timeline defined by learning, repetition, and incremental improvement. Growth is rarely linear, and setbacks or slow progress are not indicators of failure. Impatience arises when expectations are unrealistic or misaligned with reality. By acknowledging that effort compounds over time, the mind can relax, focus, and engage in deliberate practice without being sabotaged by frustration. Deep, controlled breathing is a powerful tool to remain present. When impatience escalates, the body and mind become tense. Taking slow, deliberate breaths signals to the nervous system that it is safe to calm down. Breathing anchors attention to the present moment, reduces mental chatter, and restores clarity. Even brief moments of conscious breathing allow energy to shift from anxiety about the future to engagement with current action. Focus on process rather than outcome. Impatience is often fueled by fixation on results, rather than the steps necessary to achieve them. Shifting attention to daily actions, routines, and behaviors keeps the mind engaged with what can be controlled. Completing small, deliberate tasks with attention and care builds momentum and provides tangible progress, even if long-term results are not yet visible. Presence in process transforms impatience into productive engagement. Breaking goals into small, achievable steps minimizes frustration. Large objectives can overwhelm and trigger impatience, but dividing them into manageable actions creates a sense of progress and control. Each completed step reinforces commitment, builds confidence, and provides evidence that consistent effort produces results. Focusing on immediate, actionable tasks prevents the mind from being hijacked by impatience for distant outcomes. Mindfulness techniques strengthen presence. Simple practices, such as noticing sensations, focusing on the current task, or observing thoughts without judgment, anchor awareness to the present. Mindfulness prevents the mind from wandering into imagined outcomes, regrets about past delays, or anxieties about future results. Practicing awareness trains patience, reduces impulsive behavior, and enhances the ability to sustain effort with clarity and calm. Self-talk influences patience significantly. Impatience is often amplified by thoughts such as, "This should be done by now," or "I am falling behind." These statements increase stress and create pressure that sabotages performance. Replace judgmental self-talk with neutral, process-focused language. "I am taking the steps I need to take," or "Progress takes consistent action." Words guide perception, and conscious self-talk maintains focus on present effort rather than imagined shortcomings. Celebrate small wins to counter impatience. Recognizing achievements, no matter how minor, reinforces the value of consistent action. Each step forward is proof that effort produces results. Celebrating progress anchors attention to reality rather than imagined expectations. Appreciation of small milestones strengthens motivation, maintains engagement, and reduces the urgency created by impatience. Consistency becomes rewarding, and patience becomes habitual. Impatience can also be managed by shifting perspective. Instead of viewing delays as obstacles, see them as opportunities for learning, refining skills, or gaining insight. Every challenge or wait time offers valuable feedback. The mind focuses on growth rather than frustration when the lens is adjusted. Perspective transforms impatience from a destructive force into a constructive guide for deliberate improvement. Visual cues can help maintain focus on the present. Create reminders of immediate priorities or current progress. Notes, schedules, or task boards redirect attention from imagined deadlines to actionable steps. Visual tracking reinforces awareness of daily accomplishments and encourages concentration on the work at hand. Presence is strengthened when the brain sees tangible evidence of progress, rather than being consumed by impatience for future results. Physical engagement enhances presence. Movement, posture, or manual tasks draw attention away from anxious thinking and toward immediate activity. Engaging the body reinforces mental focus, reduces restlessness, and channels impatience into productive energy. Even brief moments of focused physical action can stabilize emotions and sustain attention on what can be controlled now. Anticipate triggers of impatience. Certain tasks, situations, or environments may consistently provoke restlessness. Recognizing these triggers allows preemptive strategies, such as adjusting expectations, practicing mindfulness, or breaking tasks into smaller steps. Awareness of triggers reduces the automatic response of impatience and strengthens the ability to remain present. Predictable patterns of reaction can be managed before they escalate into frustration or distraction. Reflect on past progress to cultivate patience. When the mind desires immediate results, remembering how prior effort produced outcomes over time reinforces confidence in the process. Looking back at completed projects, acquired skills, or achieved goals demonstrates the value of sustained attention and consistent effort. Reflection reassures the mind that patience yields results and strengthens commitment to ongoing work without succumbing to frustration. Engage fully in each action without multitasking. Impatience is often exacerbated by scattered attention. Focusing entirely on one task at a time allows deeper involvement, higher quality output, and a sense of accomplishment. Presence in action transforms what may feel like slow progress into tangible, satisfying engagement. Single task focus quiets mental chatter and reinforces patience. Accept discomfort as part of growth. Waiting, slow progress, or effort that feels difficult triggers impatience, but these are natural aspects of meaningful change. Resistance to discomfort amplifies frustration. Acceptance does not mean passivity. It means acknowledging reality and continuing to act deliberately. By embracing the necessary challenges of progress, impatience diminishes and presence strengthens. Growth requires endurance as much as skill or knowledge. Accountability reinforces presence. Sharing goals, progress, and intentions with a mentor, friend, or coach encourages consistent focus. When others are aware of your effort, motivation is maintained, and impatience is tempered by responsibility to yourself and others. Accountability creates external reinforcement for internal patience and concentration on the present moment. Break long-term goals into measurable short-term indicators. Monitoring small metrics provides feedback on progress without waiting for the final result. Seeing incremental evidence of effort and achievement sustains motivation and reduces frustration caused by impatience. Progress is tangible, reinforcing the value of consistent action and keeping attention on current steps rather than distant outcomes. Mindful pauses prevent impulsive reaction. During moments of restlessness, stop briefly, breathe, and assess the immediate situation. Pausing interrupts the cycle of impatience, allowing deliberate decision-making. Reflection, even momentary, shifts attention from anxiety to control. Incorporating short, conscious pauses into daily practice strengthens the ability to stay present despite urges to rush or skip essential steps. Gratitude anchors the mind. Appreciating progress, effort, and resources available reduces frustration with current pace. Gratitude focuses attention on reality rather than imagined deficiencies or unmet expectations. Recognizing the value of small steps strengthens resolve, enhances awareness, and nurtures emotional stability. Impatience is less likely to sabotage effort when attention is drawn to what is already working and being accomplished. Set realistic expectations for timing. Impatience often arises from underestimating the time required for meaningful work. Understanding the realistic pace of growth, learning, or development aligns mental expectation with reality. Adjusting perception reduces frustration, increases patience, and allows consistent focus on actionable steps. Awareness of timelines strengthens presence because the mind does not wander into imagined urgency or failure. Environment influences patience. Surroundings that are chaotic, noisy, or constantly distracting exacerbate impatience. Organizing workspaces, limiting interruptions, and creating calm environments enhance focus on present effort. A supportive physical setting stabilizes attention, reduces stress, and allows consistent engagement in meaningful action. Environmental control complements internal strategies for staying present despite natural urges for immediate results. Regular reflection on effort versus impatience reinforces learning. Weekly or daily assessments help identify situations
where impatience emerged, and how it was managed. Reflection increases awareness, informs strategies, and strengthens the ability to remain focused on the present. Insights from past experiences prevent repetitive frustration and cultivate a mindset of sustained, deliberate action. Finally, commit to process-focused living. Real growth occurs step by step, day by day, through repeated engagement with the work that matters. Impatience is natural, but it cannot dictate behavior. By consistently practicing awareness, mindfulness, single-task focus, gratitude, realistic expectations, and deliberate action, the mind learns to stay anchored in the present. 90 days of intentional practice builds resilience against impatience, strengthens attention, and ensures that every effort is aligned with meaningful progress. Staying present transforms frustration into productive energy, impatience into patience, and action into measurable, sustained results.
Chapter 10. Commit to continuing growth after 90 days end. The 90 days you dedicate to focused change is only the beginning, not the end. Growth is not confined to a timeline. It is a lifelong journey that extends far beyond any set period. Completing 90 days of intentional action provides clarity, momentum, and confidence, but sustaining and building on that progress requires commitment, consistency, and a mindset that values continuous improvement. The habits, routines, and insights developed during this period are tools, not destinations. To truly transform your life, you must view growth as a permanent pursuit and integrate it into every aspect of daily living. At the end of 90 days, it is natural to feel both pride and uncertainty. You have accomplished significant changes, implemented new behaviors, and shifted your perspective. Yet the mind may question whether you can maintain momentum without a defined time frame or external structure. This moment is critical. How you respond to the conclusion of a structured period sets the tone for long-term transformation. Choosing to continue growth beyond 90 days is a conscious decision that reinforces self-discipline, resilience, and personal integrity. Reflection is essential at this stage. Evaluate what has been achieved, what habits have taken root, and which practices provided the most value. Consider which behaviors are sustainable, which need refinement, and which have room for expansion. Reflection without judgment allows clear insight into progress, strengths, and areas for continued development. Recognizing achievements without self-criticism reinforces confidence and provides motivation to carry forward. Commitment to ongoing growth requires defining new goals that build on your foundation. Growth cannot rely solely on repetition of past habits. It must evolve to meet higher standards and new challenges. Set objectives that are specific, measurable, and aligned with your long-term vision. Goals should challenge you while remaining achievable, encouraging consistent effort rather than triggering discouragement. Planning the next steps transforms the momentum of 90 days into sustainable, progressive change. Integrating growth into daily routines ensures continuity. The habits developed during the 90-day period should become embedded into lifestyle practices rather than temporary activities. Morning routines, task prioritization, self-reflection, exercise, learning, and mindfulness practices should all become non-negotiable elements of everyday life. Embedding growth-oriented actions into habitual behavior prevents regression and maintains consistency, even when motivation fluctuates. Self-discipline becomes the cornerstone of continued improvement. Motivation is unreliable and often temporary, but discipline ensures that effort persists regardless of emotional state or external circumstances. Building self-discipline requires maintaining accountability, following through on commitments, and consistently performing the actions that support growth. By making intentional choices each day, you reinforce reliability and strengthen the foundation for long-term success. Adapting to challenges is a critical aspect of ongoing growth. Life is unpredictable, and obstacles, setbacks, and distractions are inevitable. Sustained growth depends on the ability to respond with flexibility, resilience, and a problem-solving mindset. When difficulties arise, reflect on the strategies that helped you succeed during the initial 90 days and apply them creatively to new situations. Viewing challenges as opportunities for learning rather than threats enhances adaptability and strengthens confidence in your ability to persist. Continued growth requires conscious learning and expansion of knowledge. Committing to reading, courses, mentorship, and experiences that stretch your understanding keeps the mind engaged and adaptable. Growth is not limited to behaviors, but includes skills, perspective, emotional intelligence, and awareness. Investing time and energy in personal development ensures that progress continues beyond the initial 90 days and that your potential remains ever expanding. Monitoring progress remains essential. Tracking habits, reviewing achievements, and assessing effectiveness prevent stagnation. Establish a system for regular evaluation, whether weekly or monthly, to maintain accountability and direction. Monitoring allows timely adjustments to strategies, ensures focus remains on meaningful priorities, and reinforces the mindset that growth is ongoing. Consistent review prevents complacency and maintains momentum over the long term. Community and accountability enhance sustainability. Surrounding yourself with people who share similar growth-oriented values provides support, feedback, and encouragement. Mentors, peers, or groups committed to self-improvement can offer perspective, reinforce positive habits, and provide motivation during periods of low energy or distraction. Social reinforcement strengthens commitment and creates an environment where continued growth is natural rather than forced. Celebrating progress without complacency is important. Recognizing achievements encourages motivation and self-confidence, but it should not lead to stagnation. Each success is a milestone, rather than a finish line. Celebrate accomplishments while simultaneously planning the next steps for growth. Balancing recognition with forward focus ensures momentum continues, sustaining effort and commitment beyond the initial 90-day structure. Embracing a mindset of experimentation supports long-term growth. Growth is rarely linear, and periods of trial, adjustment, and learning are necessary. Be willing to test new strategies, explore alternative approaches, and refine routine. Mistakes or setbacks are opportunities for insight rather than reasons for discouragement. A mindset oriented toward exploration ensures that development continues to expand in depth and scope rather than plateauing once habits feel established. Maintaining focus on values is crucial. Long-term growth is aligned with personal principles, purpose, and priorities. Decisions, actions, and goals should reflect what matters most, rather than responding solely to external pressures or trends. Clarity of values ensures that continued growth is meaningful, purposeful, and fulfilling, rather than activity for activity's sake. Alignment between values and action strengthens resilience, motivation, and consistency. Self-trust reinforces ongoing commitment. The ability to rely on yourself, keep promises, and follow through on plans is fundamental to sustaining growth. Confidence in your capacity to act reliably ensures that effort continues even when external structures or accountability are reduced. Every decision to persist strengthens self-trust, creating a virtuous cycle that supports future progress and resilience. Adaptation and flexibility are key for sustainable change. Circumstances, goals, and environments evolve, requiring adjustments in routines, strategies, and expectations. Maintaining growth requires openness to change while preserving core principles. Flexibility allows continued development without rigidity, preventing frustration or burnout. By adapting intelligently, growth becomes sustainable and responsive to the realities of life. Emotional management enhances sustainability. Growth often involves stress, discomfort, and challenge.
Developing skills to manage emotions, maintain perspective, and respond constructively to setbacks ensures that progress is not derailed by frustration or discouragement. Emotional resilience allows consistent effort, clear decision-making, and the ability to maintain presence and focus during difficult periods. Reinforcing habits through repetition strengthens long-term impact. Behaviors that support growth must be practiced consistently to become ingrained. Daily, intentional repetition reinforces neural pathways, solidifies discipline, and ensures that positive actions become second nature. Repetition transforms effort into automatic competence, reducing mental effort while maintaining performance. Sustained habits preserve the benefits gained during the initial 90 days. Growth also requires balance. Physical, mental, and emotional energy must be managed to prevent exhaustion or burnout. Regular rest, self-care, and reflection ensure that effort can be maintained over the long term. Balance supports clarity, motivation, and resilience, ensuring that continued growth is sustainable and productive rather than reactive or draining. Visualization of continued progress strengthens commitment. Imagine the person you aim to become, the life you want to create, and the skills you intend to master. Visualization creates mental clarity, reinforces motivation, and aligns daily actions with long-term objectives. The brain internalizes desired outcomes and translates them into purposeful behavior. Visualization acts as a compass, guiding consistent effort over time. Seeking feedback and learning from others accelerates growth. External perspectives provide insight into blind spots, opportunities for improvement, and strategies for efficiency. Mentorship, coaching, or collaboration ensures that your trajectory continues to advance rather than plateau. Continuous feedback integrates learning, adapts strategies, and enhances performance in ways that self-observation alone cannot. Tracking results ensures accountability. Quantifying progress through metrics, achievements, or milestones provides objective evidence of advancement. Measurement maintains motivation, identifies areas for adjustment, and validates consistent effort. Tracking ensures that progress continues deliberately rather than by chance, reinforcing the habit of intentional growth beyond the 90-day period. Commitment to growth becomes a core identity. By consistently acting in alignment with improvement, learning, and development, personal identity shifts towards someone who evolves intentionally. This identity guides behavior automatically, strengthens decision-making, and aligns choices with long-term objectives. Integrating growth into self-concept ensures persistence and resilience, making progress an intrinsic part of life rather than an external project. Finally, viewing growth as a lifelong pursuit transforms perspective. The 90 days provide a foundation, but the journey continues indefinitely. Success is measured by consistent effort, learning, adaptation, and alignment with purpose rather than arbitrary timelines. Every day becomes an opportunity to practice, refine, and expand. Committing to growth beyond 90 days ensures that achievements compound, skills deepen, and life evolves in alignment with your highest potential. Continuous improvement becomes a natural, intentional, and unstoppable part of living, guiding every choice, action, and decision toward greater capability, fulfillment, and mastery.